Hello and welcome to Designing for Student-Centered Digital Instruction. I'm Lee Cooper, Instructional Technology Specialist at Salem High School. To participate in this course, you will need to use a Chromebook. The purpose of this course is to see a Schoology course from a student perspective. Since all of our students have Chromebooks, you should use a Chromebook for this course. Please be aware that some types of files and activities will behave differently on a Chromebook than they do on a Windows PC. To get your copy of this presentation, along with all of the links and information in the speaker notes, please open the bit link on your screen. You will also need to join my Schoology course using join code 8GCCRBP9BD. It's on the screen as well. So this course is a judgment-free zone, since we're all in the process of learning how to effectively use Schoology with our students. We're going to use this time to reflect on your practice as you move forward in creating student-centered instruction. Our goals for this course are to reflect on two questions as we strive to make our digital instruction student-centered and visually appealing. Number one, how can I make this easier for students? And number two, how can I make this visually appealing? Creating digital lessons does require an investment of time. We are aware of that. But keep in mind that once your lessons are created, it's very simple in Schoology to copy them to your other classes, to your resource folders, to share with your colleagues. And then next year, when you're ready to present this lesson again, all you have to do is just move them from your resources into your courses. Make a couple of updates and tweaks after you reflect on teaching this year, and you're going to be ready to go. For this class, we're going to be taking a look at examples in my Schoology Sandbox course. Since this is my Sandbox course, just be aware that you'll automatically be removed from the course every day, but you can always use the join code to get another day pass to my class. If there's something you see in this course that you'd like to keep a copy of, please email me at lee.cooper@vbschools.com, and I will be more than happy to share those files with you. So as we get started today, I'd like to share a little bit of student data from the Winter Schoology Survey. Overall, I think students think we're doing a pretty good job with Schoology. Students agree that teachers know how to use Schoology to help them learn. It was about 77% were in the positive category. And that teachers have shown them how to use Schoology. Again, about 77%. Students also agree that students have shown them how to use Schoology to learn independently. So overall, students think that Schoology helps them with a variety of learning issues and learning in your class. However, about an overwhelming, about 80% of students feel that Schoology doesn't get them more excited about learning. Now, they are students, so I'm not sure that that's necessarily a Schoology issue, but just something to be aware of. They also don't necessarily think that Schoology helps them to better understand what they're learning. So as we're developing lessons, we want to kind of make sure that we're designing our lessons with that in mind. On the question, how satisfied are you with Schoology? 53%, a little more than half of our students indicated that they are dissatisfied with Schoology. However, 73% of teachers said they are satisfied with it. So there's a little disconnect there. In my day-to-day job as an ITS, I hear students come in all the time, and I hear a lot of different reasons why they don't like Schoology, and we're going to look at a couple of those things today. But first, I want to tell you a story. When I was in college, mountain bikes were just beginning to be a thing, so I bought my first mountain bike, and this is actually a picture of it. It was a giant iguana. Mountain bikes were just coming out. This has a steel frame. It's fairly light. This is actually my second mountain bike. My first one weighed over 50 pounds. This one weighs probably about 34 pounds. It has a steel frame. It's all full steel. It has side pull disc brakes, but aluminum rims. So that was an upgrade from my previous bike that had steel rims. It has friction shifters, and it has a whole whopping 18 speeds. A modern mountain bike, if you go out and buy one today, this is kind of what they look like. The modern mountain bikes have front and rear shocks. They have what's called index shifting. You push a button and it changes gears for you. They have disc brakes. They're much more powerful than I had on my previous brake. A lot of them have tubeless rims, so there's a little bit more setup involved with that. And the reason I'm showing you this is this. Way back when, friction shifting on my mountain bike, if I misshifted a little bit, I could adjust where that was. On a modern mountain bike with index shifting, you click a button. Some even have electronic shifting. You just click the button to move up or move down a gear, and it automatically switches there. With the suspension, you have to adjust the suspension. Now, the problem comes in with the modern mountain bike is that because it has the index shifting, because it has the suspension, because it has all of these things, it has hydraulic disc brakes, they require a lot more adjustment and a lot more setup and maintenance to make sure that it's working right. My old bike was pretty straightforward and pretty simple. The new one, if index shifting is out of line, there's nothing you can do while you're riding short of pull out some tools, stop, and make some adjustments on the fly. So the point is this. The old mountain bike, that's Google Classroom. The new mountain bike, that's Schoology. And here's what the difference is between the two. Google Classroom that our students got used to using last year and the year before, it wasn't really designed to be a full-fledged learning management system. It was originally just meant to post things and to quickly manage document copying and sharing of Google Docs. You can automatically make copies so everybody gets their own copy. That was great. It was a great advantage over just using Google Drive. And Google Classroom took care of like managing file permissions and stuff like that. Basically a quick and easy way to do those things. Now, there is some overlap with Schoology. You could include links to websites. You could include Word and PowerPoint documents and PDF files. Students couldn't necessarily do a whole lot with those. You could post announcements. You could differentiate assignments. The later versions of Google Classroom that we didn't use in our school added some additional features, but it's still not a full-blown learning management system. Schoology was designed from the ground up to be a full-fledged learning management system. You can organize files into folders in Schoology, which is great. You couldn't do that in Google Drive. Google Drive was just a straight down kind of consciousness stream of thought. If you wanted to find something from September, you had to go scroll through pages and pages to get down to the bottom of your Google Classroom. In Schoology, you could have a folder called September, and it's fairly easy for students to go back and find. In Schoology teachers can share materials in their entire course with other teachers. We have gradebook integration. A couple of schools are testing the gradebook passback so that hopefully in the near future, you'll be able to pass back grades directly from Schoology into Synergy so you don't have to mark grades in two different places. Attendance, we're not using that. We still do use Synergy for attendance. You can differentiate tests and quizzes. You can use mastery standards. If you haven't seen mastery standards, it's a very powerful way that you can check to see what students are learning on different course objectives in your course and in your tests. Great way to figure out those kids that need some extra assistance. Parents can sign up for notifications. This isn't turned on for some of us this year. Some of us it'll be turned on next year, and it's on a gradual rollout. We have additional clubs and groups that teachers can use for sports and different clubs and things like that. And we can manage all sorts of school information. Kids have a one-stop calendar for all of their information that is in Schoology, all of their upcoming assignments. So it really is a lot more full-featured, but kind of like the mountain bike, if it's not really well tweaked and well thought out, and teachers are just kind of putting in their paper pencil lesson plans and not really tailoring them for the learning management system, it's not going to be really well adjusted, and it's going to make it a little bit more difficult for students to use those materials and resources. So as we go through this course today, I want you to stop and think about two questions. The first one, What do you need to do to transition your traditional, and by traditional I mean paper pencil lessons, to make them work effectively in a digital environment in Schoology? And second, do all traditional lessons survive the transformation? Schoology is not here to replace teachers. Teachers still have a valuable place in this process. We're the ones that are developing our lessons. We're developing instruction for our students. We're meeting individual student needs. And we shouldn't think of Schoology as, okay, I put it in Schoology. Today you're going to go to Schoology and I'm going to sit at my desk. That's really not where we're going for this. Schoology is designed to supplement what we're doing in class, and it's not going to replace our day-to-day classroom instruction. Might have a great place for student resources. It might be great for students doing homework, for students doing individualized projects, for working on group projects, and allowing students to work at their own pace on things, but it doesn't mean lack of teacher involvement and engagement. So we shouldn't just be putting everything in Schoology, saying, okay, it's all there, go ahead to Schoology and get started. So as we look around at classes, I have access rights to see all the teachers' classes in my building. All the ITSs do. And we're noticing a couple of things. We see some teachers that have organized into some kind of thematic units. So we have class documents and big ideas and story projects and colonial America. So the course is organized by thematic units. We have several teachers, particularly our math and sometimes our science teachers, are using this a lot for class resources. We understand that teaching math and having students do equations and solve problems is difficult in Schoology. We're not quite at a form yet where we're comfortable with that. Once we get to like a touchscreen device or something like that, that's going to make that a lot easier. But where we are right now, a lot of our math teachers are using Schoology as class resources. Many of them are even recording their own lessons so that students have a chance to go back. When they go back to Unit 5, Day 1, they can see, in this case, the student handouts and notes that the teacher made in Smart Notebook. They've saved it as a PDF. There's the answer keys in there for their homework. A lot of teachers have links to videos on Khan Academy or videos that the teachers themselves have created. It's fairly easy. Check with your ITS and they can help you come up with some ways to record your screen and to record your own videos of you teaching and kind of make some of those Khan Academy style videos with you teaching. We have some teachers that do kind of a time machine thing. This is weeks 1 through 4. This is weeks 5 through 7. This is weeks 9 through 10. We have units, teachers that work kind of the same way, but with units involved as well. So here's Unit 1, here's Week 1, here's Day 1, here's Day 2, Day 3, Day 4, Day 5. We have some teachers that are using activity types in their classes. So they'll use, here's their warm-ups and then their class notes, and then they have some writing prompts, and then here's Unit 4, Review Study Guide. So they use things like that. And then we have some teachers that are also using kind of the thematic units, but they're also using some graphics to help give their class a little bit more visual pop in their class. As you go through in your classes right now, this is a great time of year, especially if you're in your first or second year of using this and you're still kind of developing your lesson plans, to stop and kind of reflect on your teaching. Is this working for my students? Ask your students, is this working for you? Is the organization that I use in my class working for you? Do different teachers do this different? Do you have some other teachers that lay out their class a little bit differently, and why does that work better for you? Gives you a great opportunity to work with your colleagues and to open up those conversations with your colleagues. Hey, can I see what you're doing in your Schoology class, and let me see some of my students have said that it's working really well for them, and I'd just like to take a look and see what you're doing. So one thing that's going to go a long ways towards making Schoology work a little bit better for our students is to make the documents that you're using in Schoology Chromebook friendly. All of our students have Chromebooks. The default apps on the Chromebook are Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Drawings, all the Google Drive centered apps, all the other apps that center on Google Drive. Those types of documents work really well, but I see a lot of teachers using materials from their resource library for a variety of reasons. I know some files are in a better format and some files don't convert really well to Google Docs, but I see a lot of teachers using Microsoft Word documents in their Schoology classroom, so Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel and Publisher and things like that. And while those files can be opened in Schoology, they aren't necessarily the most friendly in the classes. A lot of teachers also have PDF files, and we're going to talk about PDF files in just a minute. The PDF files are great for very complex documents that don't convert to native Google formats and that are a little more difficult for students to and teachers to convert and work with. But the big thing here is that teachers should be previewing lessons that they're giving students on a Chromebook. If you don't have a Chromebook, check with your ITS, see if you can check one out, see if you can borrow one. Have a student in your class, that will go into your class and can check your assignments and stuff like that. A lot of teachers have children that are in the district. You can sign in on their Chromebook and test those things. But things do work slightly differently on the Windows machines than they do on a Chromebook. Word, Office, PowerPoint files, those things work great if you have a Windows machine, but our students don't have the Windows machine. So we need to do a few things to make the files Chromebook friendly. So some ways that you can check your lessons on a Chromebook. Work collaboratively with another teacher or PLC, and keep in mind that your PLC doesn't have to be just in-house. It doesn't have to be just in your school. Our PLCs could include teachers from other schools in our district. It can include other teachers from other schools in our state and anywhere else in our country. Schoology has a vibrant community of public resources and public groups that you can join. If you're an AP teacher, AP teachers teach the same subject across our country. Join a PLC, join a public group with those teachers and work with teachers that are out of our district to develop your lessons. Build your lessons in the Sandbox course. The Sandbox course, sometimes when we build our lessons in our resources, they don't work exactly the same. Some things we can't create directly in the resource folder. Google Drive assignment files are a great example of that. When you put them in your resources, you can't attach those files. Share the Sandbox course code with a tester group of teachers, and then work together with those guys to join your Sandbox and try your lessons. When you join the Sandbox course, you'll join as a student, so make sure you're in as a student so you can see those things. We also do have some PLCs that teachers have set up, so it's a persistent class, so teachers don't get kicked out every day. In the Sandbox courses, like my course that you're in, you will get kicked out every day. But we've had some teachers that have requested that the ITSs create a more permanent Sandbox course for them so they can create their lessons in the Sandbox rather than in the resource folder. You can set those things up. Just ask your ITS and they would be happy to work with you and your PLC on those. So convert documents to Chromebook-friendly formats. Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides work great in Schoology. Schoology native pages. When I say native pages, Schoology has a page and an assignment, and they have the editor, the document editor right there. So you can type things in there. You can put things in there. There are several Chrome extensions that will make things a little bit easier for you. And there's also the Google Drive assignment app in Schoology itself. Now, if you're one of those teachers and you have a ton of PDF files from in your teaching library, and I know teachers do have those things, there is a very good extension called Kami. Kami itself, the website is free. You can go to Kami, you can upload files and open files, connect it to your Google Drive, and you can annotate on PDF files, save them back to your Google Drive, and then you have annotated, filled out copies of PDF files. For students, there's a great way that you can help them to work with this, and that's by using the Kami extension. The Kami extension it's not a free extension, it is a paid extension, but it works great for teachers. And when you go to assign the Google Drive assignments, when you click below the editor window in an assignment, you know how we have the Google Drive assignments. If you have the Kami extension running, there is a link down there that says Kami Doc. You can click on that, insert pretty much any kind of document, a Word file, a PDF, or whatever. When students open that file, they have to have the Kami extension installed also. It is free for students. They click on the file, it opens automatically in Kami, and then they can turn it in just like they would turn in a Google Doc. Like I said, it's not free, but it is a great extension. In the my Schoology class, there is an example of using the Kami extension and some quick videos and stuff like that, so you can take a look at that. Also, to help convert files to more Schoology-friendly formats, check out Zamzar.com. Zamzar is an online service that quickly and easily converts files from one format to another. You can check out their conversion list. It converts audio from one format to another, video from one format to another, and also just strips the audio out sometimes if you want it to do that. You can convert PDFs to Word documents. It doesn't convert directly to Google Drive files, but a lot of times once you convert them to Word, you can then upload those and then convert the Word files to Google Docs files. So check out those extensions. All right, at this point, I'm going to talk a little bit about some examples, and then I'm going to give you a chance to pause the video and then go into my Schoology course to try these on your Chromebook so you can see what these files look like. So the first two files that I've got for you show up in your materials list, and they will show up like this. They have the file name here, and then you'll notice it's got the icons for what type of file it is. These were added to the Schoology materials using the add file or link button, and then I clicked on file. These would be files that maybe you've uploaded directly from your computer. You've got them on your jump drive and you uploaded a PDF or a Word document to your Schoology materials. Now, what happens when students click on either one of these files, either the PDF or the Word document, both works the same, it's going to open in the Schoology previewer. The thing about these files is that these should be considered resource material. These are read-only material. Works great if you've got some complex formatting and stuff. If you've got equations, equations that you put in the equation editor for math and science folks don't necessarily convert really well to Google Docs. But these work pretty well. Now, the thing that I will tell you about this is take a look at the two documents that I've got in here are fairly simple, so they both open well. But sometimes when you have Word documents, Word is dependent on the files and the fonts that are available on your computer. So sometimes spacing and lining up things and tables and stuff like that look good on your computer, when you open them here in the Schoology previewer, they don't look good at all. And sometimes it just messes up the formatting and it's not very usable. The preferred format would be to convert those Word documents to a PDF file. PDF stands for Portable Document Format, and those files are intended to look identical regardless of the device that they're viewed on. So it takes out some of the issues of display things because of fonts or other things. So if you have to add files and links in your materials, PDFs are the better format. Take a look at these two files. This is an example in my Schoology folder. It's called BYOD supplemental devices.pdf, and there's also one BYOD supplemental devices 1.docx. Take a few minutes and look over those. There's some questions in Play Pause It for you on this, and let me know what you think. All right, so the next files that I'm going to show you, these are attached using the file insert file link that's in the bottom left-hand corner of the document editor. So I've created a page. This also works with an assignment. The link is there as well. So pages and assignments, really the document editor works pretty much the same for the purposes of the next few slides I've got. The way that I've added these is I created a page, and then down in the bottom corner I clicked on this link right here to insert a file link. Now I've inserted the files, and it looks pretty much like it did in the last one. The last slide, they were added directly to the materials. This one, they are added inside the page, so when students click on the title for the page and it opens up, they'll see this. So this is text that I typed directly in, documents attached using the file button, and then my files. Now, with these files, there's a couple things. When I click on either of these view buttons here, it opens up just like it did before. It opens in the document viewer in a new window. So it's going to open a new tab for students. So now it's taking them actually outside of Schoology into a new tab in their web browser so they can see the document. They can scroll through it. Again, it's in the Schoology document viewer, and it's really a read-only document. So don't expect students to be able to interact with this. The other way that students can open this is if they click on the file title. Okay, if they click on the file title on a Chromebook, it's going to download those files, and it's going to download them to their Google Drive, My Drive. Now, at this point in the year, I'm recording this April 2nd, so students have been using Schoology since the beginning of the year. So imagine they've opened files like this in all of their classes since the beginning of the year. Our students aren't necessarily cleaning up their Google My Drive, so it kind of looks like their backpack did at this point in the year. It's full of a ton of stuff that's not organized. It's just all dropped in there. So even though it downloads it and there's an option to show in folder, it's just going to show them their Google My Drive that's got 4,000 files in it, and then they've got to figure out what the file is, then click on it, then open it. And at that point, because it's on Google Drive, it's going to open in the Google Drive file previewer. Now from there, there's a couple things they can do with it, but again, this format is not really conducive to students doing a lot of work and turning in files. So take a few minutes, look at these links. These are called attached files using file button in the Schoology course, and you'll be able to see what happens with those documents. All right, so the next way that I'm going to show you that I've seen teachers link documents and pages, they've got them all in their Google Drive, which is a great step in the right direction. And then when they create a page, they're going in to create the page, and then they're using the Insert Content button right here, and then going to the Google Drive Resource app. They'll then find their files in the Google Resource app and click Import Link. Now, this does a couple of things. Let's take a look at this first file right here. This first file, when you try and open it up, it's a little deceptive because this is actually, it was a Word file, and it's been converted to a Google Docs file, but the extension still says docx. I always recommend that when you convert a file to a Google format, change the file extension, take that Windows Microsoft Word file extension off of the file name. It just looks a little cleaner, and it lets students know that this is not a Word document. When you look at this, you're going to think it's a Word document. Now, a file linked like this does have some good uses. This is a great use at the beginning of the year when you set up that slideshow and you want each kid to edit a slide on there and do some collaborative editing. If you have documents that you want to do collaborative editing on, make sure that they are set with the correct file permissions in your Google Drive so that they're set with everyone with the link can edit permissions. Add them in with the link here, and then students can collaborate on a document. If that's your intended product and that's your intended format, this works fantastic, and kids can edit collaboratively on that one document. The other two documents down here are PDF and docx files. What happens with these when students click on the file names over here? These actually open up because these files are stored in Google Drive. It actually is going to open in the Google Drive file previewer. So it's going to open up in a new tab. Again, it's going to take them out of Schoology, and it's going to open in a new tab in the Google Drive previewer. Now, in the Google Drive file previewer, they do have options to go to open with. So if they've connected something like DocHub or Kami, they can click open with and open with those applications. It'll take them to those websites, create a copy of the file. Students can edit those files, save it back to their Google Drive, and then if you need them to turn those files in, they're going to have to go either get the sharing link and copy and paste the sharing link for that document, or they can go to their resources, Google Drive app, find the file, click on it there, put it back in, and turn that in. When they turn those in, that way, it converts them to a Schoology document. So when teachers go to look and edit those documents, all they can do is make one comment on the entire file. It makes it difficult for students to see exactly where in the document teachers are telling them to edit. If they've done the share link, then depending on the file sharing settings, teachers can read it, but they can't make annotations. They can't comment in the student's document. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for students. They can download the files. Again, it's going to go straight to their Google Drive and save it to their My Drive along with the 4,000 other files they've got. They can print, except at my school we have printing disabled for students on Chromebooks, so that's not really an option either. So again, these two formats, these two links here are really better for files that are designed for resources, for ancillary material, stuff like that. Keep in mind that PDFs are definitely better for preserving the format than the Word documents. So take a second and look at these. This is called Google Drive Resource App, Adding Links. All right, the next file format that we're going to look at, these are inserted into a page using, again, the same, basically the same process, insert content, except this time we're going to the Google Drive Resource App and we're import embedding. So these files are embedded into your Schoology. See this, and they'll have this file, it's embedded in a page, and then students have to open it and they can see kind of the file embedded in the page. Now, a couple things about this. I'm showing you two different versions here, and in just a second I'm going to show you why. This is the Google Drive or the Schoology page. Okay, you can see I've got instructions up here, how it was embedded, and then the document is embedded with this little placeholder. This one was set to display on a new page. In my materials list, so this is actually my materials list over here, this is actually the document over on the left-hand side, so embed Google Docs using Google Drive Resource App. That's this one. Students have to click on the file title there. It opens in a Schoology page, still inside Schoology, and then the embedded document is displayed there. This next one here listed down here is really the same document. I just created this material twice. This one is actually set with an option called display inline. You set the options for these two. Down here at the bottom, here's the options that show up at the bottom of your viewer. This one I clicked display inline. This one I clicked display in a new page. The display in a new page means that they have to click on it and it opens up there. Display inline means that it shows up embedded in your material list. Now, one thing to consider with this, when you embed these files, when you're in the previewer, the documents will come up with a placeholder in the Schoology page. If you haven't resized that page, your document may not have enough room. You'll notice over here on this document, it has a scroll bar. The documents, when they're embedded, they will fit the height of the page, and if there's more stuff, it'll turn on a scroll bar inside Schoology, so students can't quite see everything on there. They'll have to scroll. It also, if you haven't set the width correctly, the embedded page will fit the entire space that you have given it available. So if you only had this like halfway over here, everything in this text document would be itty bitty tiny. It would scale the width to fit the entire width of the space. So if you don't have it wide enough, you might not have enough room to see all of the document. So be careful with embedding pages. Now you'll notice that both of these pages that I have here for an example both have, they're both just text, right? So because it's not a very complex, graphs and equations and stuff like that in here, this might be better as a different type of format. I'll take a second for you to look at the examples. You can click on examples here. These are in the folder under the link called Embedded Google Docs, using the Google Drive Resource app, and embedding PDF and Word documents using the Google Drive Resource app. So with the last slide, it may be better actually to create native Schoology pages for those. A lot of times I see teachers have embedded a document that's really just instructions. And a better way to do that might be to just go into your document, copy the text of the document, paste the text right into a Schoology page. This example right here is just the text pasted in. Again, remember you can set the options, whether it's display inline or display on a new page. This one's set to display on a new page. This one is actually set to display inline, and you'll notice on this one we've included an image. This image actually, when we copied this from the original Google Doc, we were able to copy it, paste it in here, and the image actually appeared. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to insert the image into your Schoology page. But then we added this video directly into the page. Because this is embedded, students don't even have to leave your materials list. They can click on the play button, and this video is going to play. Take a look at these in my Schoology course. This is called Document Recreated Using Schoology Page or Assignment. So when you're copying and pasting and recreating your pages in native Schoology format, when you copy them in, you're going to be using the Schoology editor. Some ways that you can help to add some visual interest in your page is to use these tools to create some visual interest with bold, italics, underlines, bullets, text color, background colors. You can also set here text alignment. You can set indent if you want paragraphs indented and set off from the rest of the conversation. This tool is particularly important. It allows you to add superscripts and subscripts, but what I use it mostly for is when you paste files in from those Word documents or from Google Docs, it always comes in with the formatting from those. And sometimes the formatting is not the same as everything else that you put into your Schoology. So a lot of times what I do when I paste these things in order to kind of make sure that all of my files are kind of stylistically similar, because I don't want to have wildly different fonts and font sizes and colors and stuff like that in my materials list. I want it to kind of have a uniform look. Is I'll copy all the text in, highlight all of it, and then clear the formatting, and that just leaves kind of the text that I can then go back in and reformat. Now, if you want to insert images or media, if you want to insert links to things, you can use the insert content button. You can insert images and media. You can insert links if you're using symbols. Those are in there. If you are recreating stuff for math or science class and you need to create equations, the equation and the LaTeX editor in here are both very good for creating basic equations. I wouldn't use them for, here's how to do this entire equation and solving problems, but those work really well. On the right-hand side here, you do have resources. So the Microsoft OneDrive, YouTube, you can embed videos directly from YouTube using this. Google Drive Resources app, you can include things from there. Things like Quizlet. There are a bunch of apps that you can actually embed directly into Schoology rather than telling students, here's a code, here's the link, click on this, and opens the link in a new page. Then they have to go in, figure out where to put the code in, sign in. There are a lot of apps that are built using Schoology's API that actually allows information to pass back. So when you put a link in and embed them, students don't actually leave Schoology. They stay right in Schoology. They can perform your activity that you have intended for them. They can go to your Quizlet, take the quiz, and a lot of times it'll set up the course in Quizlet, it'll add the students to it, it'll grade it, it'll pass the grade back, and the grade will automatically show up in your gradebook in Schoology. So you remember the gradebook passback is coming next year. Wouldn't it be great if students could go to Quizlet, take a quiz, and the grades automatically show up in your Synergy course? Another cool feature here that's on the Insert Content button, there's a link here to a video that my colleague Jennifer Blaze created for using a tooltip. Tooltips allows you to highlight a word or a phrase and give a little bit more information or background or definition for those, and it will pop up in your page. Take a look at Jennifer's video to see that in action. You can also use the built-in styles, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4. Paragraph is like the body text of your page. And these help to build a unified style in Schoology. You can also use the change font size and adjust font sizes if you want to change anything in your documents as well. Which of these two looks more visually appealing? On the left-hand side, plain white. On the right-hand side, exact same thing, only with a little pop of color. The text there is like a header 1. There's an image in here. And then also for the link there, the bit link, the text is changed to white, the background is changed to pink. So lots of different things you can do there just to make it a little more visually interesting for students. All right, so the next couple of things that I've got are specifically some assignment examples. So this first one that I'm going to show you, I actually got this from a teacher's class, and you'll notice that this has a Word document attached here. Instructions and the rubric are attached, all work. It says should be turned in using this document on whatever date. Now, in the presenter notes for this page, there's a link to the original and to the revised version of it. Take a look at these. On the revised version, what I've done is I've recreated this document using a Google Doc, and actually when I converted this to Google Docs, it converted flawlessly the first time. I didn't even have to reformat anything. I did make a few changes to the document. I took out a field that said name on the top for where it was a paper pencil document that students had to put their name on. So I took that out. It also had some lines, some underlines in there where students were expected to write their answers. When students are typing their answers, that never formats right, and it often causes problems. So what I did is I took out some of those things. You can take a look at that document. The other thing that I did was I took the scoring rubric that was in here, took it out of the document, converted it to a scoring rubric on this assignment. So what happens now, because this is a Google Drive assignment, I use the Google Drive assignment app for it. Students open it, it'll say Supreme Court Case Review, Lee Cooper. The teacher then goes in, opens my document. When the teacher opens the document to look at it, they can see the entire document. They can make comments directly in the document using the commenting features in Google Drive, in the Google Docs app. They can score this by just clicking on the criteria and the rating in each category, and then it's scored using the rubric, and it's done. Take a look at this. This is called Supreme Court Case Review. There's the project and then the better version. Take a look at these. If you want information on how to create a scoring rubric, information on how to create the scoring rubric is listed. There's a link in the presenter notes for this page. So I'll give you a few minutes to take a look at that. So as a tip, because this is a Google Drive assignment, when you copy a Google Drive assignment between classes, the Google Drive file doesn't get reattached in your other classes. When you copy it to and from your resources folder, it doesn't get reattached there. You may notice what I've done here is I took actually the file name that's listed right here that I've attached, put it in parentheses, put it somewhere in the body of the assignment, just so that next year when I copy this out of my resources and into next year's class, I know what file that I'm going to search for in my Google Drive assignment. All right, we're getting close here, so stick with me. The next thing is graphic organizers. A lot of teachers use graphic organizers, and a lot of what I've seen is, here's a graphic organizer, do something with this, complete it and turn it in. It's a PDF file. Now, students are able to use things like Kami and DocHub to annotate on PDF files. But in this not-so-friendly example, what happens here is we have two things. Students can view the file. They can click on the button, and just like we saw earlier, it'll open in the Schoology previewer. They can view it. There's not anything else they can do. They can't annotate. They can't edit directly in the Schoology previewer. If they click on the file title here, the file will download, and then of course, it downloads to their Google My Drive along with their 4,000 other files. They have to go find it, open it with the Google Drive previewer, click on Open With. It sends them to Kami or DocHub, whatever their choice is. There's a couple of other PDF annotation editing apps, so depending on what you've taught them to use, it'll go to those apps. They make their edits, they save, they export, save it back to their Google Drive. Now they have to go to your assignment page, turn it in, and then they have to go either give you the sharing link for it, or they have to go to their resources, Google Drive resource app. That's a bunch of clicks. That's like 12 different clicks in order for them to get an assignment edited and annotated and turned back in. Every single one of those clicks is an opportunity for our students to say, it's not working. And we don't want that. So we want to try and make this a little more student friendly for them. So what I've done here next is I've taken this PDF. You can actually save the contents of a PDF as a JPEG image. And I have created in Google Slides a Google Slides graphic organizer. Now, if you just create it in Google Slides, the kids can move stuff around, and we don't want that. So in the links down here, there is a link to the video for how to create a Google Drive, a Google Slides graphic organizer that keeps the kids from being able to actually manipulate the body of your graphic organizer, but they can use all the tools, the text tools. You can create some drag and drop activities and stuff like that in Google Slides. You can actually recreate Google Slides in any size that you want, so you can change your page so it lays out to an 8.5 by 11 page. But since students are going to be looking at them on the computer anyway, a digital format really might be a better format for them to use. All right, take a look at these two examples, see what you can do with the PDF file, and then see what you can do with the Venn diagram. These are both in my Schoology course called Venn Diagram Not So Good and Venn Diagram Better. Earlier, we had talked about placeholders. So when you insert an image or a file using, and puts in the placeholder, when you click on the placeholder, you do get handles that show up on the edges. You can click on the handles and resize it, or you can click on the icon button right here and you'll get a dialog box that looks similar to this. Now this dialog box looks differently depending on what your placeholder is for. If it's for a video or an app, it might look a little bit different. So the first thing you'll see on here is image description. So this is actually works for ADA compliance. If you have visually impaired students in your classroom, you need to include this, but it's a good practice to get into. If your image that you're including has text in it, any text needs to be duplicated here in the image description. If there's no text in it and it's just a picture of pretty flowers or something like that, you can put in just a description of what that is. Alignment allows you to set left-right alignment. This is web page alignment, so you can set it to float left or float right. There's no wrapping options like there are in Microsoft Word. Dimensions gives you the opportunity to manually input what the width and height are. Border puts a line around your image, and then vertical and horizontal space keeps text from cramming right up into your image there. So some good estimates here are about 5 to 10 pixels work really well for horizontal and vertical space. All right, embedding apps. Schoology has the ability to embed a bunch of apps. It has an open API that third parties can use to allow their tools to be integrated directly into Schoology. In the speaker examples, there is a link to a VBCPS list of Schoology apps and extensions that work with Schoology for us, that work with our firewall. And there are embedding instructions how to use and embed those apps. Schoology also has an App Center. If you click on the App Center at the top of your Schoology screen and go to the App Center, there are over 100 apps that work to embed directly into Schoology. Take a look in Frontline and look for embedding external tools presented by Jennifer Blaze and Arcadia Parson, both at the DLSS this coming summer and in the future. So look for those in Frontline. All right, so this course kind of came around from some of my PE teachers came to me and said, we're having a hard time with this assignment. Students are saying they can't turn it in, and it's very difficult for them to turn it in. When I looked at the assignment, what I found was that it was a paper pencil lesson, that they hadn't done a whole lot to convert. This is actually page 9 of the document. It had a bunch of linked documents that linked to this personal fitness pre-assessment, journal entry number 1, and then journal entry number 2, journal entry number 3. The problem with these documents is that they were links to Google Docs, so students had to open that link, make a copy of it, then they could edit it, and then to turn this in, because this is all one large document, they had to then get the sharing link for their document, share it, go back to their original document in Schoology, change the link there to their whatever their link was, and then save the file and then turn it in. So you can imagine this is just showing 3 examples. There were about 10 pages of files that they had to do that. Every single one of those documents. If I were a student, I wouldn't want to have to go to a file and open it and edit it and go back and change the link to the original document and stuff. So on the right-hand side, this is actually our next unit, but this is a better way to break this long unit down. We broke this into different days. We broke this into different parts. Here's the introduction. Here's our standards and our criteria. Step 1, setting your nutritional goals. So that might be journal entry number 1 and a link to a Google Doc for that students click, open, and it says, journal entry number 1, Lee Cooper, and then they fill that document out. In the speaker notes, there are links for both of these. If you go to the personal fitness lesson, quick and dirty, you can see what the original lesson looked like. So take a few minutes to look at that and see, thinking from a student perspective, if that's particularly user-friendly for you and if that's something that you would feel comfortable turning in. Revised personal fitness lesson is the updated version, and there's also in Schoology the next unit, which was the personal nutrition unit. Take a look at those. See which one of those you think would work better for students. All right, so to start wrapping up here, a lot of what we hear about teachers, it takes so much time to create these lessons. And yes, it does take some time to convert your standard lessons, your traditional lessons, into a more digital format. But many hands make light work. Work with your PLC. If you don't have one in your building, create a PLC. Create a division-wide PLC. Create a nationwide PLC. Join the Schoology groups. You can also ask your ITS for help. We are here to help you, and we are more than happy to help you create your lessons in a digital format. So some quick takeaways for today's course. Paper pencil assignment lessons might require a little bit of revision. Let your students know that you didn't just pull this out of an old notebook, scan it, and then put it into a page on Schoology. Take the time to do those little things like taking out the name fields, taking out all the underlines, make them appropriate digital documents. Use Google Docs for assignment starters whenever possible. It makes it a lot easier for students to be able to turn in assignments when all they have to do is click on it, it opens in Google Docs, they make their changes and make their edits in the file and save it. It also makes for giving them better feedback because you can make better feedback using the Google Comments tools right inside their documents. Create native pages for Schoology pages and assignments. If it's text for instructions, don't make them go to a different document that opens up as a PDF file just to give instructions. Copy and paste, put your instructions in a Schoology page. Minimize the number of clicks that it takes students to get information. And stay inside Schoology wherever possible. If you can embed an app, way better than sending them to a website with a "here's my join code." And always, always, always preview your assignments on a Chromebook so you know what it looks like. Your ITS is a fantastic resource for you. Your ITS will be more than happy to help you convert your Schoology, your paper pencil assignments to Schoology. See us, and we are happy to work with you. Be sure to fill out the reflection in PlayPosit, and thanks for coming to my class today.